decided, let's make some money off of this. Let's sell him into slavery. Do you know how much they sold him for? 30 pieces of silver. Where have we heard that before? Right. So, we'll talk about Joseph as a prophecy, as a sign, as a type of Jesus, because he was sold by his brothers who should have loved him. Anyway, so Joseph ends up in Egypt. And once he's sold to a high official in the government in Egypt, a guy named Potiphar. Have you ever met anyone named Potiphar? Me neither. Okay. And Potiphar was very impressed with Joseph. He put him in charge of one thing, and that thing went well, and he put him in charge of something else, and that went well, and he put him in charge of another thing, and that succeeded too. So in a very short amount of time, Joseph was in charge of everything in Potiphar's household. He handled his money, he handled his house, he handled his crops, he handled his fields, he handled his slaves, whatever he had, Joseph was in charge of. But there was a problem, because it seems Potiphar's wife wasn't happy. And she said, Joseph, let's steal what belongs to my husband, your master, and let's run away together. And Joseph said, no, thank you, but no. And she wouldn't stop pestering him. Day after day after day, let's take your master's most prized possessions and leave. Let's get out of here. Let's go to Vegas. No Vegas, but you get the point. And he said, no, look, my master has put me in charge of everything. He doesn't even know what he owns anymore because I have it. But how could I commit this sin against my master and against you? Because you're his wife, not mine. I'm not going to run away with you. So what do you think she does? She says, fine. If you aren't going to run away with me, I'm going to get you in trouble. So she screams, help, help, help! This Hebrew slave is trying to steal me away. And all the servants come in and they grab poor Joseph, and she tells Potiphar, and he says, well then, clearly you've betrayed me, so he throws him in jail. Does that seem fair? Does that seem right? Seems like Joseph is not exactly getting the rewards that we would expect him to get for being a righteous and wise and obedient person, right? We could complain a lot if we were Joseph. This isn't fair, right? You think he does that? I'm sure he has some frustrations lying there in the prison. But no, instead, in the prison, he does the same thing. He works hard, he's obedient, he's respectful, and the guy who's in charge of the prison gets to noticing, hey, things run pretty smoothly in this part of the prison where this guy Joseph is. Let's, put him in charge of the other prisoners, and, he's still in jail, but at least my job will be easier then. So you see, everywhere he goes, he works hard, he's respectful, he's obedient, he prays, he looks to God for hope. And even though he's stuck in jail, not rightly, not justly, not fairly, he's still doing well because God is with him. Anyway, we're going to wait until next week to talk about what else happens to Joseph, okay? Both because it's a long day and you all need to get to Sunday school, and because I'm going to try leaving you without the end of the story. So as far as we know, we're leaving Joseph. Life isn't fair. His life is not going well at all, and God seems to have abandoned him. But we haven't seen the end of the story. And if you don't take anything else away, remember this. Just because life is hard at this point or that point or the other point, remember, we haven't seen the end of the story. And it doesn't make sense to say Joseph had a lousy life until we see the end of the story. All right? Now with that in mind, if you've read it already, don't give it away. Let's stand up and take communion.